Well, having grown up in this area, this is a very famous house. Well, it was famous because of who grew up here, and this area is called Beverly Hills, and it's not in LA. Nope, it's in Alexandria, Virginia, where James Douglas Morrison actually lived and graduated from high school. They had lived on the Space Coast in Melbourne, Florida, and they moved here. And this is where he graduated from high school. The high school, George Washington High School, is now a middle school, junior high school. And I actually went there in seventh grade, and I was reading No One Here Gets Out Alive by Danny Sugarman, the story of Jim Morrison. So I was just fascinated by all of this. And I figured I would just show you the house and talk about Jim Morrison's life here in Alexandria. There's an excellent book written by my buddy Mark, celebration of Jim Morrison's life in Alexandria. And it's a whole book on his life here in Alexandria and history of the area. His dad, of course, was in the military. He was, I think it was actually an admiral in the Navy, and so pretty high up. And I know that growing up in Alexandria, we had two admirals on our street too, actually, on the other side of Alexandria. And so that was common. A lot of people in the military working at the Pentagon here or elsewhere. And so his dad was a military man, and he obviously went the other way. They had their disagreements, but he lived in this house, and back here, which is totally added on now. There's a garage and such back there. But Jim lived in the back basement of the house. There was a fireplace and all his books. And I actually drove back behind there to check it out. Can't really see anything because the garages are there. But one of the nice neighbors spoke of some neighborhood lore. And so it was a neighbor who lent Jim Morrison the book, Catcher in the Rye. And Jim's parents, I think, were not very fond of it, being religious, and they didn't like the book at all. So they destroyed it, and then the neighbor was upset, so they got the neighbor a copy of the book. And there you go. Just one of the neighborhood stories here. But he would have roamed around this whole area, and word was he was down on U Street in Washington, D.C., which was a base for the African-American musicians of the day and kind of the gritty clubs. There was the Bohemian Caverns, which was a music club. Really, really cool, special place. It's closed down, but I've managed to go inside there and seen poetry readings and all sort of almost like beat culture in the 2000s. But Jim would have been there in the late 50s, early 60s, and that's where he spent a lot of time. And
he also apparently had his first poetry reading at Coffee and Confusion at 925 K Street, which is not really near U Street. It's more downtown, close to the White House and what is now really downtown D.C. K Street is a major street, though.
and the word on the street is if you go into a library, well, probably not anymore, but if you find scribblings in a book and that sort of thing, it might have been Jim Morrison's writings. If you find something like that in a book from Alexandria, probably worth a fortune now. But of course, you know, he would graduate and head to film school in LA and meet Ray Manzarek on Venice Beach and sing to him, let's swim to the moon, let's climb through the tide, penetrate the evening that the city sleeps to hide. Anywho, yep, Moonlight Drive. And then they started the Doors. So there you go. The rest was history. But he did spend his formative years in Alexandria. A lot of history in this area. And this is where he graduated from high school in 1961. If you go down near the torpedo factory in the water in Old Town Alexandria, there's a list of famous people. And Mama Cass also went to GW High School back then as well as her buddy there, and the mamas and the papas also. And here it is, George Washington Junior High School now, but back in the day, George Washington Senior High School, where Jim Morrison went, graduated in 1961. Mama Cass Elliott, Papa John of the Mamas and the Papas, and also I went there too. And this was just the annex over here. Now it's all connected, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, of course, a lot of memories here, but this is where I was reading No One Here Gets Out Alive by Danny Sugarman when I was in 7th grade. The school was 7, 8, and 9. So freshmen were the king of the hill. And then you went off to T.C. Williams High School. So there you go. This is where Jim Morrison would have gone to high school. And Mount Vernon Avenue here in Alexandria. Old Town Alexandria over this way. And Del Rey down the way here. And it's now a very popular neighborhood. Back then, not so much, but these days, yes, very, very popular and trendy. And of course, Old Town Alexandria, the town where George Washington grew up. And of course, he built Mount Vernon way, way down the way there. About 12 miles from Old Town Alexandria, down the Potomac River and the GW Parkway, which goes all the way down there, and then also all the way up to basically the American Legion Bridge. So there you go, George Washington High School when Jim Morrison went there, and now junior high school.
Actually, I have a really cool personal Jim Morrison story. One of my really good friends who I went to GW with, well, we were at her house, and her mom had gone to GW back in the day, and Jim Morrison was in her yearbook, and we found out she actually knew him and had some classes with him, and we were just stunned, and we were like, oh my God, what was he like? And she said, well, he was a weirdo. True story. So his reputation for being a strange person even was alive back then, well before he was famous.
So there's a little bit of Alexandria folklore for you. Check out my other sort of pop culture videos on Andy Warhol's life in Pittsburgh and Chelsea Hotel. I also have a video on that. But it's mostly car reviews and disc golf videos and music videos as well. You can check out me playing The Doors' Touch Me elsewhere on YouTube. That's a good one. But anyway, Jim Morrison's life in Alexandria. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe, comment, like, share here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'm Ivan Katz.